Activity might increase by 15, 20% by just using these tools. There are some research that actually say that the productivity can even decrease using the tools depending on technology, the code, the project, and so on, and also the team. There's also something more than just that, right? I mean, giving the engineers this kind of a tools is one thing. What comes next is actually giving tools not just for the engineers, but for the whole teams. It's not really shifting, oh, we are replacing humans by AI. It's actually shifting, oh, okay, now the people will actually have a slightly different role in the whole organization. The majority of these repetitive, simple tasks, the medium complexity tasks as well. So the human engineers will actually have to solve much more complex tasks. And yeah, that's a challenge to how to shift them into this change in the role, the token usage, right? And how to convert it, how it converts into the value that it brings, right? Because it's not for free. That's also cost efficient, and we don't stop here. We actually have many other methods implemented to really make this cost efficient, not only by the number of token usage, but also using different models, because we are agnostic when it comes to the models and the agent that are used in the back. We will use the best model for the best price for the specific task.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Recursive Podcast, where we'll be diving deeper into a very timely and a very important topic, namely what AI engineering actually looks like. And with us today is Karol Przystalski, who's the Chief AI Officer of Exadel. And today we'll be discussing in what ways enterprises are restructuring product development along workflows, along agents, along AI native operations. We're going to be also discussing how enterprise AI is evolving from isolated copilots into fully orchestrated engineering operations and systems. We'll be talking about AI-enabled product engineering, data and analytics modernization, and we'll go deeper into how Exadel is actually helping enterprises and organizations operationalize agentic AI delivery with its enterprise platform called Exadel Colleague. So to go fully into the topic of AI and how AI native development is functioning in today's AI-based era, I want to start with some warm-up questions to Karol. First of all, can you please give us your opinion of what are you seeing in enterprise development and conversations today that you feel it's very different from what it was, let's say, 12 months ago?
Well, 12 months ago, the companies focused more, because of the AI hype, they focused on building POCs with AI, trying to get the trust. Today it's a bit different because most of the companies see the value that is coming out of using AI. And either they actually have successfully finished the POCs, or either they are using AI and they are getting some return of investment of using these tools. So there is a shift. So what actually happened a year, 2 years ago, where the companies tried to gain trust, trying to find a way, okay, is this something for us? Is it something that will work for us? And now when actually we see the trust is already there. So they're not really thinking about, okay, should we use AI? It's more about, okay, how we can really use AI in which part to make more company more efficient.
And what AI native engineering actually mean to you nowadays in your work?
Well, AI engineering is, it's not just about using the tools. We can hear in different places that using this or that tool will increase the productivity and so on and so on. So yes, that's obviously important, but I think we need to go a bit further than just that. It's about having the whole strategy for the company on AI and actually how to use specific tools into the whole software development lifecycle. For example, if we talk about the engineering.
And on the very same topic, how would you distinguish AI-enabled software development as compared to truly AI-native product engineering?
Yeah, so we have different type of the tools in the market and how they are used. We can think about tools like copilots, not just Copilot itself, but kind of a copilot, kind of a code assistant tools that the engineers use to help them to just how to complete the code or just write some part of the code depending on the prompts that are written by the engineers. And that's more like, okay, enabled software engineering. But when we talk about the next stage, it's more about actually not just using the tools by the engineers, but working more on some autonomous solutions that will not just cover this one specific thing, that the role of the engineer and help the role to be more efficient, but actually cover the whole life cycle of the software development and increase the productivity on the team level, on the company level.
Let's talk now more about AI adoption into enterprises and what enterprises are still getting wrong. So tell us, what are the biggest misconceptions that enterprises still hold about AI adoption in their operations and systems?
So there's a term called that is known as token maxing. That this is a term about using actually tokens and maximizing the using tokens, because this will actually increase their productivity, which is something that is obviously taken a bit wrongly by many companies, because that's actually the measure of adoption really by the companies. So using, and they're trying to promote using the AI tools by the engineers, because obviously they usually might consider or think about, oh, but AI is replacing the jobs, so why should I use AI and actually help them to replace my job? That's obviously not true, but that's the way of their thinking, and that's why they are also trying to encourage them to use different kind of AI tools, which actually then ends in a significant increase in token usage. Which is obviously called token maxing, which is a measure of adoption. But the question, what's this actually next?
So are there any structural obstacles, any organizational patterns that hinder the faster AI adoption within enterprises? What do you think?
Yes. First of all, the costs, for example, right? Which might be kind of a challenge. Once they increase the cost, then okay, what's next? Should we, because the budget are actually
set.
Yeah, they are set. They are the same, right? So you can't actually change the budget. So should we spend more money on the tokens, or should we do something else? Like some people might think, okay, maybe we should lay off the people, right? Because of we don't have money for the tokens. Without having a concrete measure, a metric saying, okay, this is the return on investment of this spend. So in many companies, there is no, they don't know, they have no proof of the productivity boost really.
And you mentioned something interesting about the changing of the structure of AI engineering teams with the given adoption system. So can you elaborate more on that? How enterprises should rethink the structure of the engineering team with the AI adoption patterns?
So first of all, I mean, what's happening today is actually that the engineers are supported. They're using these AI tools, which is obviously the right thing to do. But this is only something that increases the productivity of a specific engineer. And yes, there are different materials, different science papers on that, different researches that are made on that say, okay, the productivity might increase by 15-20% by just using these tools. There are some research that actually say that the productivity can even decrease using the tools depending on technology, the code, the project, and so on, and also the team. But there's also something more than just that. I mean, giving the engineers this kind of a tools is one thing. What comes next is actually giving tools not just for the engineers but for the whole teams to support them fully, not just doing here tasks, doing here some implementation, here it's doing some deployment, but actually covering that ideally in an automated way.
And on the question from experimentation moving to operationalization, I know this is a big question when it comes to AI native engineering and adoption. Is the industry moving slowly or rather fast nowadays from isolated copilots to fully orchestrated systems? What do you think? And what does it look like inside a company, if you have any cases?
So, yes, I mean, there are many companies that really are trying to go above just using the copilot tools. We face as Exadel, potential customers that are actually trying to do something internally. But the challenge is obviously that there are not so many engineers really that actually did that in the past, because that's something new. So actually having the experience or lack of this experience is a challenge for these companies to move from one stage to another stage, right? Where actually the second stage, where we talk about actually giving tools that are not just co-pilots, but actually something more than that, with actually helping with prompts and actually doing much more, going even to the next stage, which is actually a fully autonomous solution that will just take the majority of the work out of the scope of the work for the engineers. Which doesn't mean replacing them, right, by the AI tools, which is also used as an argument to do so. Now, that's obviously not the way how it should be done.
So where do you cross the line separating AI experimentation from AI operationalization?
So, you can think about, I think a good comparison is when you think about vibe coding, right? And autonomous engineering, right? When you have something that you vibe and, okay, it works, right? But obviously that's experimenting, because when you do something with vibe coding, it's good if it's something, if it's a project for 2 months, 3 months, something that you prove your concept, prove your idea. But, usually such tools, they have such a huge tech debt, makes the project on day one actually already legacy, that it cannot be really extended in the future because it's written in such a way where the autonomous engineering with all of these quality measures on top is actually what is moving the whole thing into this more operational level.
Operational level. And where is the human element, the human oversight in this whole process? Like, are enterprise systems fully autonomous as they are now? Or?
No, we are not yet there. I mean, in the meaning that most of the enterprise don't really have autonomous solutions yet. Even if they have some solutions, for example, Exadel Colleague that we have at Exadel is such a solution. Still there's a human in the loop. Not because the system might not do it fully autonomously, but it's more about the responsibility, more about the context and actually the knowledge, the reviews, architecture, and many, many other things that actually the agent just cannot do, right? So that's where the human, so it's more like, it's not really shifting, we are replacing humans by AI, it's actually shifting, okay, now the people will actually have a slightly different role in the whole organization compared to what actually was done in the past. It's like with other jobs in the past, right? It's not that something was replaced by something, but it was more like a shift.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you believe that companies can become fully autonomous, or you think the human element will always be there in the picture?
I think it all depends. I mean, when it comes to software development, I think the majority of the work will be done by autonomous solutions. By majority, I think something like 60 to 80%. But it doesn't mean, again, the replacement. It just means that the whole team will just speed up, like double the speed of actually delivering the solutions, right? Bringing them to the market, because the human involvement will be always there.
Yeah,
it's like, we hear about this AI first approach, and everyone is actually going into AI, but there is also the other side, like human first, right?
Which was there from the beginning.
Exactly, it was before, right?
Yeah.
So in our case, we are combining these two approaches, because yes, if we can use AI to speed up and make it faster, keeping the quality or even increasing the quality, yes, we should do that.
Yeah.
But we cannot actually forget about the human factor. That is a significant part, a very important part of the whole process.
So to wrap up this mini topic, give us 3 signs that signal to you that a company is AI native and is not just using AI, layering other workflows inside the company.
I think saying that a company is AI native, obviously they have a strategy on AI, so where they are going, so where they're heading in a year or two. And yes, maybe 2 years is a bit more, it's maybe a long time because...
Especially nowadays.
Especially now, exactly, because the rapid changes that are happening, it's like, you never know what actually would happen in 2 years, but at least for the last few quarters, right? Something that you can plan, that's one thing. Also, what you should have is a clear measurement of the costs, right? Because of token maxing, for example, they are spending so much money. Okay, great, but how to really, if in an AI native mature organization, you need to know how to optimize that, how to calculate the return on investment of actually spending this money, how accurate are the models. What is the human hour equivalent for actually the work that the models, the agents did? So what is really the speed up? Not just the token consumption, which is an adoption measure, not the productivity measure.
Okay. One of the most intriguing and key elements of the conversation around AI is actually how we measure the return of investment.
Yes.
So what do you think leaders should be measuring within a company and within the industry maybe?
I think something that I already mentioned part of it before is actually token usage, right? And how to convert it, how it converts into the value that it brings, right? Because it's not for free. Also, what kind of models should be used? Because if you would ask probably a random engineer, they will tell you one or two different models or agents that they use. But because it's so rapidly changing, the agents that are now on the top might not be on top anymore in 2-3 months. So obviously measuring the usage and then converting it, because every model, every agent actually, they have their own pricing model, so it costs differently. In some cases, it might be better to use this or that model for the specific case. The other thing is obviously the accuracy. So, okay, how our models, how our solutions is actually performing against, bug fixing, creating test cases, and so on. So measuring the accuracy, which is obviously a typical metric in machine learning. So, but it should be measured in a proper way. And also the human equivalent hours, which means, okay, if this task would be done by human, it would take X hours. By an agent, it takes this number of hours. So what's the difference? What's the benefit we get out of it? Many companies don't do it. They focus on the adoption, right? And yes, that's still a challenge for many of these companies. So they measure, okay, more tokens means better, which doesn't mean better exactly. I mean, it means better for adoption, but not really better for the productivity, for the company.
Yeah. And how do you price an AI model? This might be a very technical question, but how would you explain it very briefly for a non-technical audience?
So yeah, I think we could start with a definition of a token, right? Because that's the basic. If we go to the pricing of any of these agents or models, you will get, that's the price per, 1,000, 100,000 tokens. But what is a token? To say it to someone who never heard about the term, token, it's to simplify, and I'm just simplifying now, it's a word.
Okay.
It might be a long word. It might be also a short word. It's a term that is taken from natural language processing. A token is a word, but that is represented by a set of values, of numbers, right? This is called the vector, the vector of numbers. So you can position this word somewhere in the feature space, which means, okay, if we, for example, have a room like this one, right, and this is 3 dimensions, right, so we have 3 numbers. So everyone will have a number to position them somewhere in this feature space, in this room. And some words might be closer to other words. It means they are somehow related to each other. For example, the distance in this feature space between king and queen will be the same like between men and women, because they are related to each other, right? They might be positioned in different places in this feature space, but the distance should be very similar, right? Because the difference is similar. So, but token is actually a word that is moved to a vector space. You can think converting a text into math, right? And then the math can be used, the numbers are used to really do the math in the back, to do all of the calculation, that is this heavy computation in the back.
And how does it relate to the definition of pricing in AI models?
So all of the tokens, because it's about input tokens and output tokens, which means, okay, we are sending, for example, if you use ChatGPT, right, you are writing a text. And this text is, 10 words long. So it's 10 tokens.
Okay.
I simplify here because commas, dots are tokens as well. But so we are sending it to the GPT engine. It interprets your question, at least tries to understand it, and then give you a reply. But the reply usually is not 10 tokens. It's, it's
much simplified.
It's 100 words, 1,000 words, right? And some models, they have some limitations on how many tokens they can get and understand, and how many tokens they can return. Based on the limitations and also the size of the model, right? The GPT model, there are different kind of models in the back. They price how many tokens you send and how tokens they return, right? So, for example, if you move to the coding, to programming, usually the engineer prompt, I want to modify the app, this piece of code to make this button not red but blue. Just a simple example. And what the agent do in the back, okay, not red but blue. Okay, this is the code, because the prompt is one thing, but together with the prompt, it also gets a piece of the code. And these are additional tokens, right? And then in return, it gets also a lot of code, which are tokens. And then all of that sum up, and you get the number of tokens that you used, then multiplied by the number of, or divided by the number of actually how much this specific vendor is charging you. And that's how you measure that.
As a side question, it became very interesting to me. Is this how they price the plans for ChatGPT?
This is a bit different because,
subscription.
This is a subscription model, which is different. The thing is that subscription model, they are fixed price by, that you buy for this subscription and you have a tool that you can use, right? And yes, there are some limitations there as well. But for the coding, it's work a bit differently, because the engineers either use the IDE, they use the console, so they use a different interface. But how it works in the back, it is actually a request. So it's packaged and it's sent as a request to the server. So you don't really have this interface known from ChatGPT, for example. But it's done, let's say, more programmatic, right? More software engineering way. So it's done in the back. And here, the subscription model doesn't, I mean, there are some subscription models, but actually how usually they charge by input-output tokens on the API, so on the requests and responses. And so the engineers are sending the request, they are getting responses all the time, and we are summing up the numbers, and then multiply, even if it's 5 cents per 100,000 tokens, it's go very fast. You can compare it, for example, to the cloud services, right? Yeah. Most of them, I mean, we had before this AI hype, we had this cloud hype, and many companies moved to the cloud because it's cheap. I mean, it was cheap, right? Because it's 5 cents per hour for this service. So for myself, if I would want to do it on premise, it costs much more, which is true. But then you multiply by 24 hours, by 30 days in a month, and so on and so on. And on top of this service, you need to buy this service, this service, this service, right? Then at the end, it's not really so cheap. And it's quite kind of a similar with the token usage, right? You have this token, but you also add pricing for this, for that, for other tools that you buy on top of that. And at the end, this cost can be quite significant.
Yeah. Back on the question about return of investment, what would you say are realistic expectations for AI ROI within a company for, let's say, next 2, 3, or even 5 years?
Companies, or the AI that is used by the companies, it will actually reduce. It's already doing around 20 to 30% of the work. With autonomous solutions, they will reduce 60 to 80% in the near future. So that's one of the things. Also shifting, and that's also change management, something that the companies have to focus, I think, in the near future, is to change the engineers to be ready to actually change the way how they work, not just because of the AI tools that they have, but also the role, because they will focus not just on even at autonomous engineering solutions, they will take the majority of these repetitive, simple tasks, the medium complexity tasks as well. So the human engineers will actually have to solve much more complex tasks. And that's a challenge to how to shift them into this change in the role, right? And what I also mentioned before, also focus on actually measuring all of the matrices properly that are not done in many companies in the right way today.
Let's talk about Exadel Colleague, and the role of the company in helping enterprises modernize AI operations. So how would you describe the role the role of Exadel in helping enterprises modernize their engineering and AI operations nowadays?
So Exadel Colleague is an autonomous solution that is dedicated not for the engineers, like the majority of tools that are on the market, but it's a solution that actually serves the whole team. It covers the whole SDLC, and it doesn't require also additional training. For example, if you use one of these tools on the market that helps the engineer, you need to train the engineers how to write prompts properly, right? How to ask proper questions to get the right answer from the models. With Colleague, it's a shift into, let's use the ticketing system, like Jira, for example, and let's work there as an interface. And let's treat Colleague like a teammate. So let's imagine you are a team of 10 engineers, and now an artificial engineer joins your team.
11th.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then the next one, right? And this engineer, this artificial one, takes the majority of work from you, not by prompting, doing some magic stuff, but just by assigning a ticket or a story or bug. from a web application that you already know, because most of the engineers know how to use Jira, right? The ticketing system that they use. They know how to write comments. They know how to operate, and that's easy. Just by clicking, assigning, and so there is no really magic knowledge behind it. Still, having Colleague doesn't actually. You don't need to resign from other tools that you're already using when it comes to agents. So you can still use your favorite tools if these actually speed up the work of the engineers. That's even an additional productivity boost, because they are faster by moving the workload to Colleague, and what is remaining with this task stories, they can use the tools to solve them faster as well. Because Colleague will not solve all of the tickets. Like any agent will not solve all of the tickets on stories.
So is it like hiring a new colleague at a much more competitive price?
Exactly. You can think about like additional teammate, yes.
And tell us what's the implementation cycle, the implementation process of adopting Colleague within an enterprise look like?
So actually, it's rather straightforward to actually get Colleague on board, right? But how it works in the back, that's a bit more complex, right? Because it covers really the whole SDLC, so this whole software development life cycle, which starts from actually getting the stories, a better understanding what actually it is. If it's not clear, it will ask questions. If it try to find the knowledge from different sources, like documentation, like test cases, previous tickets that were made, and so on. And actually only start doing a ticket or story that actually Colleague knows it will actually be successful on it. So just not to waste tokens on trying to solve something that actually there is no agent that actually can solve some tickets, right? So instead of burning that, it will just say, okay, sorry, I can't do it. That's something that human should take over, right? So
that's very cost efficient.
That sounds cost efficient, and we don't stop here. We actually have many other methods implemented to really make this cost efficient, not only by the number of token usage, but also using different models, because we are agnostic when it comes to the models and the agents that are used in the back. We will use the best model for the best price for the specific task. So you don't need to use the number one model that is now in the market for everything. For many of the tickets, the bugs, you can use much cheaper, and you can imagine that actually the cost difference might be 100 times different in the cost
but
per.
But it would still do the same job, like as efficiently.
Exactly. By keeping the accuracy at the same level, make it cheaper, right? Or using time slots where actually you can use these models in an efficient way. Either it's on premise when it's cheaper, because this is also what actually the Colleague, where the Colleague has an advantage. We are not only agnostic on the model and the agent, but we are also agnostic on the infrastructure. So we are meeting the customer where they are. It means, okay, if they use these type of agents, or they are allowed to use this type of agent or LLMs, okay, we will use them. We will not go above. We are actually installed in the infrastructure of the customer. So and because of that, we are compliant with all of the security requirements. So there is no.
Big topic.
Yeah, exactly. You can imagine, all of these regulated companies like in finance, health tech, and so on. And but not only them. I mean, every company don't want the knowledge to go outside. Yeah. So what we do, we don't ask our customers to move to us. We are moving to our customers' infrastructure. So it's much more convenient for them and more secure, because it's all compliant with the processes and the infrastructure the customer does have. So that's different. And on top of that, when we talk about SDLC, it also comes with the quality first. I might be here a bit more technical, but before we actually do the implementation, we go into actually generating tests in the first place, different type of tests, the TDD tests, which are normally actually in a human environment, are very cost inefficient because of the time that you have to spend. And that's something that is solved by Colleague and generates different type of TDD tests. So tests that are done before the implementation. This methodology is known for high quality of the code. And on top of that, we also do this functional test, which means, okay, once the code is created, it's generated, we double check on top of that if this functionality works well. Right? Because the code might look good, but does it really work? So there are a few layers of of quality checks to make sure that the code is generated is the right one. And yes, Colleague also, as I mentioned before, is we have also human in the loop that can be added on each stage. Because still many companies, even they trust that actually AI can be used, they still want to have kind of a supervision over what is actually created. And yes, this will change in the future, but for now we have the possibility to actually double check on each of the stages.
I'm curious, have you encountered any unique cases or customer experiences that emerge from this process of deployment within a company?
Well, we used Colleague recently for one customer where they had a legacy Windows application, a .NET application, where there were almost no tests. And the plan was to refactor, to move it to a more modern technology. But the problem is that if you want to move, you need to have the test in the first place, because how you are sure to move it to somewhere else when you're not sure if it works properly. So the first challenge was to generate or create a test. When they measured the time spent by humans to do it, even with this AI tools like copilots, it was a significant amount of time to do that. So what we did, we installed Colleague, and I actually asked Colleague to go through all of the tickets that were done in the past stories and generate this test. And because of the security level, so the quality checks on a few levels, these tests, we generated tests in thousands on numbers in the first phase of actually creating the test for this project. And found also some bugs in the meantime, fixed the bugs, which actually made it way faster than any human supported with AI tool. So this was a significant decrease in time and increase in quality. So the next step might be to use Colleague to now move from one platform, from one technology to another one.
So where do you want to take Colleague in the next stage of development, let's say in the next 5-10 years?
Well, I think Colleague will be, it's already autonomous, but we have a roadmap of new features, not just actually covering the whole SDLC, but also being involved in planning, for example, right? Joining meetings where we are joining a meeting where the planning is happening with the team of the humans. Right, a Colleague can be part of it and actually, work with the team, like an autonomous engineer, right, and talk with them, discuss the features, whatever needs to be done in the near future. So many other features that that we have in the roadmap that are different from what actually is now on the market to help the team make it even faster and not just double the time of actually delivering the solution, but even increasing that
number. Do you think that solutions like Colleague can ultimately cut the hiring costs within an enterprise? Like, would they choose the model to use the model instead of hiring actual human resources?
Well, we as Exadel, we are a service company, right? So we don't treat it like a product. It's more like a service that comes with humans. And yes, you heard about, everyone heard about AI first approach, that we now moving to AI tools and trying to replace some of the work, automate some of the work that was done by humans. And that's where the companies are going. What with Colleague, we are combining really two approaches, this AI first and the human first approach. Because yes, you can use and you should use AI to speed up. But at the end, there is someone that is actually responsible for that at the back, right? Someone that actually...
Can AI be responsible?
Well, it's not only about if AI can be responsible, but there are some things that actually AI just will not do, right? Just starting from the more advanced, more complex features and needs to be implemented. Also, security reviews, code reviews, and so on and so on. That's all things that actually, yes, AI can do to some degree, but there should be a human involved at the end. Because the worst thing that can happen, actually, there is an AI tool that actually do everything, but at the end makes your company bankrupt because of the mistakes that it makes, right?
Yeah. And in this regard, if there's one practical advice that you would give to enterprise leaders, executives to implement in the next months to speed up their AI operations and implement them faster, what would it be?
I think just going beyond the tools, moving to the next stage of actually autonomous engineering, from not only from actually copilot code assisting tools, not moving only to this AI native or AI tools that actually help engineers to speed up, but actually go to a centralized solution where you can really use this information to measure it properly, because that's where the majority of the company are struggling with today. That I'm investing a lot, but what did I get out of it, right? And how to measure. And many customers are actually having this challenge.
Which again brings us to the exact measuring of the return of investment.
Yeah, but that's also something that Colleague is solving, because it's a centralized solution per team. It exactly knows what it does, how much time it's spent, what was the cost, and so on. And Colleague also doesn't sleep, right? Even if that's
the added benefit of AI.
Yeah, but still, if you have, for example, a coding assistance solution and you as an engineer use it, then once you close the laptop, it stops, right? And Colleague, you just assign a ticket. It's obviously it's added to the queue, but it's work 24/7. Right, so you can assign tickets and just I'll come back tomorrow and they will be solved.
Yeah.
Right, so that's also the advantage.
That was how Colleague can manage the migration of information and already used models from one team to another.
Well, that's interesting because you can set up a few colleagues in different teams, and they can talk to each other. So you can imagine you have
autonomously,
yeah. Today, if you have two teams and these solutions that they build are somehow related to each other. I don't know, let's say they are microservices, so they have two servers that talk to each other. Yes, they talk to each other on a human level, on an engineering level, to understand what the other application is doing, so they can actually adjust the other app to do so. And when you have two colleagues in two different projects, they can talk to each other on the agentic level, right? To actually get this information, exchange the information between two teams.
Yeah.
Either for the team or for the agents.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's obviously very beneficial because this reduces the time actually needed to exchange the information. Even if it's somewhere on Confluence, like on documentation tests or somewhere, still getting it from there and exchanging takes time. And here you have it already done.
And can it talk to another colleague from a different company?
No.
It's just within the company?
No, it's actually just because of security reason and it's actually focused
within the team and
in the environment. Yes, yeah. It is custom, maybe not custom made, but it's flex in the meaning that we are adjusting it to the customer
Yeah.
and the customer infrastructure. So this colleague in this infrastructure will not talk to another colleague, and well, it will not talk to that different colleague if we don't ask or give the colleague a privilege, right? Authorize it that, okay, you can talk to this colleague and you can talk to this colleague, but it's not that they can talk by themselves.
Yeah.
It's about security and again, human involvement.
Yes, which is very important. But thank you, Karol, for all the intriguing insights. It was very interesting for me as well. And let's meet again in 5 years and see where you brought Colleague to and what it can do then.
Thank you.